boys. Here we go. Come on.
All right, boys, let's have some fun.
Hello and welcome to the Galbraith Report. We're back to catch up on what's been happening in the NHL. I'm Craig Anderson. Alongside me is Jade Galbraith, former ice hockey player, man of many clubs, etc., etc. Jade, how's your week going?
Good. A lot of good games. It's beautiful here in Calgary, which is nice. So, yeah, it's been a great few days since we last talked. How about yourself?
Yeah, not so bad. Keeping busy. Obviously, our schedules mean we can't convene over the weekend, so we thought we'd do a quick one now. Only 3 games to cover, as round 2 really hots up, going by some of the games and results. So we'll cover those first. We'll start with the Colorado Avalanche and Minnesota Wild, will we? That was 5-2. The Avs leading 2-0 in the series so far. A much more conservative 5-2 compared to the goals fest that was game 1. Martin Necas opened the scoring. Kirill Kaprizov, I always get that mixed up. Just 6 seconds later, it looked as though it was going to be quite the game. But Avalanche winning through. They're just looking really good right now.
Yeah, again, Colorado, they're just right off the ball. They're ready to go. 2 games where they scored in the first 3 minutes. That's a huge thing, momentum-wise and mentally, to score right off the bat. Now I know Minnesota scored 6 seconds after, but that first goal is huge. And again, when Colorado scores first in the regular season, I think they tied 1 game the whole season, or tied 2 games. They never lost a game when they got the lead right off the bat, the first goal. So that right then is if I'm Minnesota's coach, I'm like, well, we got to come out a little better. They were 3-0 down in the first 5 minutes of the first game, and now 1 minute or 3 minutes in, they let that the first goal again. I think Minnesota. If I'm Minnesota, I'm trying to get that first goal. Colorado, man, they're just on cruise control when that happens. Now, again, Kirill Kaprizov, Makar kind of got a little bit out of position there, and the puck bounced straight to him. Makar even went by the goalie and tapped him on the pad, saying it was his fault. Again, everybody makes mistakes. Kevin Bieksa was saying on Hockey Night in Canada that he's the best player in the world, but even the best players in the world, best defensemen in the world can make mistakes. So that was something that I really liked seeing. Again, he's not above making mistakes and whatnot. Again, Colorado 2 for 5 on the power play, so they're starting to heat up on that 40%. If they continue to score how they do 5-on-5 and their power play starts to heat up, Minnesota is going to get swept and it's going to be over before it started. 3 things Minnesota needs to do to be able to combat Colorado is, number 1, they can't take any penalties. 5 power plays for Colorado, that's way too much, way too many, because again, they're too good not to score in the power play. They have to secure the first goal. I think that's a must. They're going home. They'll be at home for game 3, obviously. But I think using their crowd, if they can get out to a goal lead or even 2 goals, that's the only way they're going to be able to win. They're not going to come back in the game. I can't see it. When Colorado's rolling, when they're scoring and their confidence, it's too hard to come back against them. And then 3, they have to generate more, getting more calls for them. They only had 2 power plays, and they went 0 for 2. They just couldn't get anything going on that side of things. And again, Colorado, the 9-5, 14 goals in 2 games. They shut it down, 8 goals in 2 games, but still for Minnesota. So Minnesota can score against them. I just don't know if they can prevent them. They're in a track meet against Colorado, and I just don't think that Minnesota, they're not as, their depth just isn't as good as Colorado's on the offensive side. So I think that's something that Minnesota has to say, okay, we're gonna not go crazy on the offense. Let's try to prevent that, play a little better D zone, play a little better neutral zone, and then when we get our chances, try to capitalize. But if they go track meet, it's going to be over before it starts.
Well, that's the thing. We talked up Minnesota during their series against Dallas, and I think that was more down to Dallas's failings than how good Minnesota were, and they were really good. But Colorado they're just a level above.
It's like we said. Like again, you picked. I really didn't know yet if Colorado was, again, they had an unbelievable regular season, but for them to, they're 6-0 just like Carolina is.
Yep.
right? The two teams that we were picking to go to the finals are really rolling right now. And again, Minnesota can get a lead or, just play a little better D. They're not going to win 5-4 games. They're not. Colorado's going to beat them on the scoreboard if they do a track meet. So they need to win a 2-1 or 3-2. They really have to shut it down. If Minnesota can get out to a lead and they shut it down in a 3-2, 4-3 game, I think they'll have a chance to win. If Colorado gets out to the first goal, I think it's over before it begins. Well, I go back to Gustafsson then, 100%. 2 goals or 5 goals. It's better than 9. Again, he didn't play bad. It's just the team, the grade A's that they got. So again, I give Gustafsson 1 more, and if it doesn't work, maybe go back to Wallstrom. But it's not the goalie's fault by any means. It is the team D, the turnovers, and the grade A chances Colorado's getting. So I think if they play good team D, all of Minnesota's top guys were minus last game. So even with scoring a goal, even strength goals. So again, they have to be a plus. Their top line has to be a plus for them to win, and that's including with Hughes and Faber were both minuses as well. So that's something that if their top 5 guys can be pluses, the other guys, have a little bit more. They can play a little bit more defense than they would if they're down 4-2 or 4-1 or whatever they're going to be down. The other lines can try to push the offense a little bit, but if your top guys aren't a plus, then it's going to be hard to come back against Colorado, with their depth that they have.
That's it. Game 3 is on Saturday. As Jade says, it goes back to St. Paul in Minnesota for Game 3, and that could be very interesting. On to Wednesday's games. We'll start with the one series that had yet to begin, and that was because of Montreal Canadiens' 7-game epic against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they started against the Buffalo Sabres. Sabres won that one by 4-2, so lead the series 1-0 so far. And I watched that one this morning in its entirety. The Sabres looked really good as they finally hit round 2. I think they had a couple of days extra break in between as well, which would have helped. But again, they're looking very potent. They look as though they're hitting their stride, the Sabres.
We always talk about shots and how I can't stand when people are like, well, we outshot them, blah, blah, blah. So Montreal did to Buffalo what Tampa Bay did to Montreal. They outshot them by not the margin as the Game 7 was, but that's the thing about shots on net from the outside and then grade A chances. Now, I thought that Dubas, or how do you say his name, Dobash or whatever, the goalie, Dubas. Yeah, again, I thought he won the series for Montreal. That Game 7 he stole the show in that game, and I thought that he was human against Buffalo. Mm-hmm. Now, Buffalo, you watch their goals and you watch their chances. They had 3 posts that don't count as shots on net, so that's another 3 shots. Now, 3 posts, then the game's 7-2. It's different. It's a different story. And again, look at their posts. They're all grade A chances. Montreal just had a huge series, the emotions, and have such a quick turnaround, couple days. And they were in Tampa, so they had to go home probably quick, grab some stuff, and then head to Buffalo. So, or they were in Buffalo, yeah. So that's the thing. It's a tough turnaround. The emotion, like you don't have a lot of rest to get back focused. So I can't really say for certainty if Buffalo's going to run the table and take the series, but I can tell you Montreal. Now that they saw them, they saw that how Buffalo was. Their transition was unreal. They were when the puck was in the neutral zone, D to D up, quick ups. Their zone entries were unbelievable. They were getting chances off their zone entries like crazy, and catching Montreal flat-footed a lot. So I thought that that was something that Montreal definitely has to circumvent and try to combat, because Montreal's D were way back in the zone because they had to be, because the quick ups. And I think if the Montreal's D is up a bit, that means that they'll have a little bit better back pressure from their forwards. But their forwards, I don't know. I could see 2-1-2. I could see 1-2-2 at times. I just thought that it was too easy in the neutral zone for Buffalo to get the puck up to the get a puck up to the forwards, and they got a ton of chances off the rush. So, and again, they hit two posts for sure off the rush. And again, they caught Montreal big time backing off and catching their forwards in the neutral zone. So look for that to change next game. I know they're going to shore that up. Montreal, now, this is a stat that you usually see. You see teams get a lot of shots because if they win faceoffs. So Montreal was 62.7% face-off percentage. That's a big margin, man. Like that's six, so almost at times 7 out of 10 wins on the face-offs. Now that's puck possession right there.
Yeah, I did see that one.
I'd like to see Montreal, turn that into better grade A's. But the thing I love about Buffalo is they're not when there's a chance to have a shot, when they have a grade A chance, they'll shoot the puck. But they don't force things, man. They don't try to shoot through guys very often unless they have net presence. They don't try to shoot off the rush as much as people talk about. They cycle the puck. And what I mean by cycle is they don't delay up to the D and the D shoot. They cycle it. They're D-cycle it. Their D aren't looking for shots all the time. So they absolutely grinded the D down on Montreal. They have some big bodies. Greenway scored a goal first time in forever. And I love Greenway. When he was with Minnesota, I loved his game. He is a huge fucking man. Like, he is a huge man, 6'6", 250. And you see him throwing guys around during the game. Like, he was throwing Caulfield around like he was his little son probably. Again, they are a big team, and they use their body. Montreal, I thought, was a step behind. Now, that could have been just because of the emotion of the series before. But if they don't change that and try to combat that, move the puck a little quicker and not let their Buffalo's big forwards get in, it's going to be. I like Buffalo. They're just firing right now. They look really good. I was, and the turnovers. Buffalo. They turned the puck over double the amount that Montreal did too, and it's a weird stat that way. There's 14 turnovers to Montreal's 7. Now, again, they had a lot more neutral zone time. So, when you have more neutral zone time, you turn the puck over more. It's just the way it is. Now, this series of power play, 3 power play goals on 5 chances combined between the two teams. Mm-hmm. So, again, Buffalo 2 for 3. So they got to shore that up. And then Montreal 1 for 2. So neither of these teams can take as many penalties as they're taking. The kills got to get better. But again, out of the 6 goals, half of them were power play. So I don't know if that's going to be indicative of the whole series, but I think definitely a team that shuts that down, like more power play goals, like if they go 2 for 4 and they give up none, I think that's going to be a huge thing. Like I always say, special teams is huge, but right now nobody has the sure advantage on that. But again, I just think Buffalo, they're rolling right now.
Yeah. The thing is, as well, they had the game won pretty much by halfway through the second period. After that, they defended a lot. You touched on that as well. Alex Lyon, 11 saves out of 11 in that third period, 92.9 overall. So they did their fair share of defensive work as well. Interestingly, as well, the Canadians, their big hitters this year, Cole Caulfield, Slodowski.
Yeah. He hasn't had a
sorry about that. Those guys were quiet too.
So yeah, exactly. Caulfield, and he's getting a lot of slack in the media from everywhere right now. But he's he's got 1 goal, and it's not that he's a ghost. He's pretty much invisible. You don't see him out there on the power play. Yeah, but his shots from the regular season to the playoffs are down significantly. Now, I always say this to you, Craig. I probably beat a dead horse all the time, but the playoffs are 100% harder than the regular season. It's a different game, right? Guys, look at Matthews. Matthews in the playoffs is useless. Same thing. The guy gets 60 goals a season. It is a different game. You have to do other things to create your time and space out there, and it just seems like he's waiting for everything to happen. He needs to change his game, maybe start dumping pucks in, going to the net harder, not just waiting on the perimeter for a pass and a shot. So he's got to find something, because they're not going to win without him scoring. They're just not. There's no way that they're winning without him scoring. They're just not. And so he needs to find a way to do other things to help his team win. And that's playoffs. When you're not scoring, you can't just go, next game. No, you only have 4. And sometimes, you might have 5, but still, like, you waste 2 games. He's got to come out. He's got to start to show. And I'm not saying killing guys out there, running over guys, but yeah, you don't see any grit. You just no feedback, no punchback, no. It's one of those things that it just seems like he's taking what they're giving him.
And just a quick apology to the Slavkovsky family. I thought I better get that right before I get into trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, the other game that was on last night, that's Wednesday, was the Vegas Golden Knights against Anaheim Ducks. That series is tied at 1-1 because the Ducks won by 3-2 in game two, reversing the 3-1 Vegas won by in game one. Vegas, we talked in the last episode about them picking up momentum. I think we killed that because they were pretty poor in this game.
I have to admit, I go back and forth, and I've been talking to some hockey people about the Ducks, and I like the Ducks a lot. To pick this series, like I said, it's 6 or 7 games. If Vegas's top guys are the guys that are leading them, I think Vegas takes it in 7. But if they do what they did, like they scored goal last couple minutes or whatever, because it was a 2-0 game, right? Or there was 3-0, and then they scored late, correct?
Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah, Ducks got 3, and then Mark Stone pulled one back at the end.
So again, the game wasn't even really needing to be. They had it the whole game. So that's something that I definitely think Vegas is. Their best guys, their top guys were bad, like really bad. They were all minuses. Marner was -3. Like, I get it, he's on there for the open net goal, but it's one of those things, that they have to be their best players. Now, it's one game. It is what it is. It's one game, but the Ducks always seem to get better as the series goes on. Against Edmonton, the one loss that they had in game 5 or whatever, they were up 3-1, weren't they? And then it was 3-1. McDavid, and Draisaitl stole the show, and that's to be expected. But I'm thinking that if the Ducks, the next game's huge. They're back in Anaheim.
Yep.
And if they play the way they did last game in Anaheim, and it's up 2-1, again, Vegas has the experience, like I said before, but again, Vegas can't let this get out of hand. They have to have a pushback next game in Anaheim. Again, funny thing about experience is it's great. It's great in a long series, but when you have youthful enthusiasm like the Ducks do, all of these kids are on house money, right? They're older guys. Trouba and those guys even said, we can't believe how well these young kids are doing. They're playing like veterans. That just shows that these kids are ready to go. They're not waiting for a couple of years to get seasoned. So I love seeing that, and I like the Ducks, man. I just like everything about them except their jerseys. The colors are driving me crazy. So I just want to get there. I can't stand the colors, but everything else, well coached. Quenneville's friggin'. He's one of the best. He's been there forever. Won cups. And you know what? It reminds me of a young Chicago team, to tell you the truth. They don't have the Queen of Taves, but they got Seneca and they got Cutter Gauthier, who might get to that status the way they're playing. So that, to me, I just love it. I think the Ducks. I like them. I'm really rooting for them, but again, you can't count Vegas out.
Just a quick question. Is it the reason you don't like the Anaheim's colours? Because does that go back to your days with Nottingham Panthers and that rivalry with the Sheffield Steelers who play in orange?
Nottingham's not orange, right? They're yellow. I like yellow-black, right? Again.
Yeah, Panthers are, but Sheffield was orange.
I didn't mind playing in Sheffield. I didn't hate Sheffield at all. Everybody was a battle back and forth, but they were my favorite games to play, Nottingham, Sheffield, because the fans were bananas. There's fights in the stands. You're getting booed like crazy. I loved it. So, again, it had nothing to do with that, but I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, next game of that one is Friday as well, Game 3, when that tie goes to Anaheim. And just quickly, just as we record, it's Thursday, so there's one game happening later tonight, and that's the Philadelphia Flyers against the Carolina Hurricanes. They are 2 up so far in that series. Just quickly, Jade, I think we spoke about it at length in the last episode. It's hard to see past a Canes victory, the way they're playing right now. Do you have any hope for Philly in this one?
Well, again, my uncle always gets on me. He told me that Philly's going to take the next 2 at home, and
he's confident.
Yeah, very, very. Absolutely loves the Flyers, and my cousin Braden too. Same thing. They were so mad after the last game, blowing a 2-0 lead. But again, you never know that it's against them for sure. Carolina's rolling. They are doing everything right now. Philly getting up 2-0 really put them back on their heels, and you could tell like they were really struggling to generate offense and to get back in that game. And again, they're just so good. They all three zones. They don't make a lot of mistakes. But on the other side of things is right now down 2-0. Philadelphia's they have nothing, absolutely nothing to lose. And the hardest thing to play against is a team that has nothing to lose, because you never know. Right. It's not 1-1 where they might come out a little bit, defensive, blah, blah. Again, they have nothing to lose. And if I'm the coach, I tell Philly, let's just go. Let's put it all out there and see what happens. Because right now they got to try to do something to get the Canes off their game. But again, overtime. The first game was a win for sure. Nothing even close, 3-0. They dominated. The second game, hey, could have went either way. So again, they need the same start as they did in game 2. If they can get a start and get a lead with the fans there and the energy, hey, you never know. It could go to overtime, or they can put out a 1-goal lead. But Carolina, man, it's just, I can't see Philly winning the series. But if they can take 1 or 2 at home, you never know. But this third game, if they lose this game, it's over. They'll get swept, I think.
Right, let's move on and we'll look at the awards nominees. They're continuing to be announced every day. They're going through every category. We didn't quite bring the Tuesday one in the last episode, but we've had 3 since. So Tuesday was the Calder Memorial Trophy, and that saw Ivan Demidov of the Canadiens, Matthew Schaefer of New York Islanders, and Beckett Seneca of the Anaheim Ducks nominated for that one. Wednesday, the Frank J. Selke Trophy, Anthony Cirelli of Tampa Bay, Brock Nelson of Colorado, and Nick Suzuki of the Canadiens were nominated for that. And on Thursday, the most recent one, James Morris Memorial Trophy, Rasmus Dahlin, again, his second nomination for the Sabres, Cale Makar of Colorado, and Zach Werenski of the Blue Jackets. What did you make of those?
Oh, great picks. The Rookie of the Year, Schaefer, I think he's got a hands.
He's been brilliant.
That kid is friggin' something else, man. Like, he set a record, NHL record all time, the most goals teenage defenseman has ever scored. And that's insane, man. That kid is something else. And I think if you're a writer and you take one of the other guys, no offense to the other guys, like great seasons. Demidov, great. Seneca had, I think, 20 or 30 goals or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing feat. But Schaefer's 19 years old, defenseman, no less. He got 20 goals. I think he got 20.
Something like that, yep.
So, yeah, that's unheard. To get 20 goals as a 30-year-old best defenseman in the league, to do that and at 30 or 25 or whatever is insane. So to do that as a 19-year-old defenseman, that kid is something to watch, man. Every game I'm like, this guy's 19. No way. Imagine him playing in junior. Like, I couldn't imagine him playing junior. He'd have 200 points. It's crazy. He'd have 70 goals. It's awesome to see. You love seeing records being broke, but to do it as a young defenseman like him, and he's such a good kid. Everybody talks about how has such a good demeanor. It's nice to see. The other guys, no offense, Demidov's sick and Seneca, great season, but if a writer picks any one of those other two for first place, I think they're on some sort of drugs. So.
There we go. And more of those nominations are to come Friday and Monday as well. We're trying to cram in as much as we can in this kind of shorter episode of the Galbraith Report. So we'll move straight on to the draft lottery, which took place the other night. We talked about it, one or two of the prospects that are likely to come through. Toronto won the draft lottery in quite a 24 hours for them on the back of the rather heated press conference. So they'll get first overall pick. Reckon it could be Gavin McKenna. They got the first pick in 2016 when it was Austin Matthews. We've talked a lot about him. San Jose Sharks second. They'll get the second pick again like they did last year. Vancouver Canucks third. Your Calgary boys, Jade, sixth this year. What did you make of the draft lottery then?
We'll talk about the Flames after, but the Leafs, I like to go back, and a lot of people on social media are talking about this. I've seen it, and I agree, is you can buy the first overall pick. I guarantee that the draft lottery, there's something going on. Why I think that is Edmonton Oilers got 5 or 4 first overall picks. And one of them was McDavid, and the odds of them getting it are I know they say it's 15%, 20%, but come on. I just don't like Toronto. First time they've been in the top whatever, that low of a draft, that high of a draft pick, and they get first overall pick. They bring in new GM, new this, new that. Stenberg is the consensus 1B. So McKenna's 1A right now, I guess, and Stenberg 1B. Sandin's a Swede. He loves the kids. So I don't know who they're going to pick or whatever, how that's going to go. But I just think it just seems like Vancouver got totally screwed on that. They went to 3. Again, San Jose bumping up too. Like it's hilarious. The NHL will look at the teams that need that, and which are. I just think that it's kind of a sham a bit. There's something going on. I swear. Again, I could be on the moon or whatever, but I just think there's something going on with that. Now, Calgary dropped to 6. They have 4 top 2 rounds. They have 2 first rounders and 4 second rounders this draft. So they are going to this will be Conroy's year. I'm telling you, he's going to do some good things with the Flames. But I was just going over the top 7 picks. Again, I think Calgary just got to take a D-man. I'm looking at Daxon Rudolph or Keaton Verhoff as 2. I don't know if they'll be able to get Carson Cardell or Corelli. Or Corrales, I can't say his last name. He's Prince George D-man too.
Yeah.
Or Chase Reed. I don't think that he's going to be able to get those guys unless Rudolph or Keaton get picked up. 1 and 2 is going to be McKenna Stenberg for sure. But I really like Verhoff. He played North Dakota. He's a big D-man. Size matters. He's played at the college level. Not saying anything about the dub. It's just older man playing against older guys. So again, I think they got great. There's great in the top 7. There's great. Nikita Klepov. I don't know if they're going to go for a forward. They have good young forwards. They have a lot of them, and I think another good defenseman with Perrick. Again, I'm not sold on him yet either, but I think definitely taking a D would be a big thing, and taking a later round forward maybe in the late round. So that's what I'm thinking. Again, I think McKenna goes 1. I think Stenberg goes 2. I just think that way. Now, Stenberg being Swedish, with Matt Sundin being there, you never know. But again, Leafs getting number 1 just makes me laugh. So look for Calgary to make a big splash, and we'll talk about Calgary again in the future about the draft. Before the draft, we got to talk about it because this could be a year where they get going. So where they really start to get some good prospects in.
There you go. Nice to see you're so positive after all that. That's good to hear.
Trying to be, buddy. Trying.
And incidentally, for any lawyers listening, I don't agree with that regarding anything dodgy regarding the draft lottery. That is purely Jade's opinion alone.
That's my opinion, 100%. I'm not implying anything, but it just seems a little weird, man, that after how the year the Leafs went, that this falls in their lap. And when you see Matt Sundin on the TV after they get the first overall pick, it's like he knew that he was going to get it. There wasn't like being pumped like some of the GMs, right? So, and he doesn't really have much emotion anyway, but still, like, wouldn't you be, again, I don't know how many spots they moved up, but it had to have been like 5 or 6, right? So again, it's one of those things that, again, they fell right in their lap, and McKenna or Stenberg, they're both going to be NHLers next year, I'm thinking. So to get that and on a rebuild, and if they get one of those guys, Matthews is now maybe expendable, and they can maybe get something for him, because I think his tenure in Toronto is past its point. I think he's going to be. They're just not winning with him. They got to, and his stock's only going to go down now that he's getting older. So, this might be the time in the off season to maybe make a move. So, but again, that's my opinion. We all have one. So
absolutely. Well, we'll wrap up there. We're talking about just starting things up. I've been doing that recently with my ice hockey writing again. I went away from it. I was working for a few clubs. I've gone back to it, writing about Scottish ice hockey. You've got a bit of a startup going as well, I believe.
We have a carpet cleaning company, and then now we're starting a company called Kyber Systems. The website www.kybersystems.ca. It's robotics and drones to start with, and it's cleaning high-rise buildings like windows, metal, all the outside of residential commercial buildings. And it's something that's when we started it, or before we started, we were looking around to see if many places we're doing. China does it, obviously. They're a big drone manufacturer. Major cities in like New York, Los Angeles, some of them are doing it there. I think Vancouver and Toronto are the only two places in Canada that have drones that clean high rises. So that's something that really excited and moving forward here and getting to work with drones, and you have to take a pilot's license. You have to go, you got to be able to have to take this course and pass. A lot to do with, aviation, right? Again, it's not a pilot's license, but you know what I mean, to fly these and to be able to run it in a safe, obviously now with drones, the governments have had to change and have, licenses for this and insurance and all that stuff. So it's been an amazing to see this stuff. And I think within 10 years, drones are going to be a thing, like a really big thing.
Well, some would say they already are. But for that purpose,
I'm not a big, technology guy, as you know. I'm more analog than, digital or whatever. But moving forward, you got to see what the next thing is. And I think we got a great, start to it. The drone will be coming in soon, and then we'll be able to, go from there. So we'll have to get some video and maybe post on your way on Facebook and stuff like that of when we first start the company out. But definitely wanted to talk about that. And it's just something that if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So it's nice to be in that field. And again, I love video games. I loved them. So flying drones are awesome. It's so much fun. So it's just something that that you don't see very often, and will get bigger as the years go on. And I'm very happy and very again, website's up. You guys can take a look at it, kybersystems.ca. Give it a look and
do so. Excellent, exciting times. Well, that's good. We've managed to rattle through quite a lot there in that short space of time. For all the time we've had tonight, it's good to get it done. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. We are back again early next week. We'll wrap up what's been happening across the NHL, including in the playoffs. Jade, good to have you again. It's always great chatting hockey with you. Hope you have a fantastic weekend.
You as well, my friend.
And we'll catch you soon. In the meantime, enjoy yourselves, be good, and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.